Well, hello, CHS family. I'm Mrs. Mitchell, and I am very happy to be talking to you about creating an agenda, which is a really important step in your overall progress. It's a big part of being organized. And so I know a lot of students will often say, well, it's kind of hard to create an agenda and use it and follow it. But I would argue that it's even harder not to have one. So really it's a matter of choose your hard, okay? Using an agenda and getting used to the habit, or not using an agenda and really falling behind with assignments and just feeling like you don't have control of your life. So this is going to be a tool that helps you maintain a certain amount of control of your day, of your week, of your month, and really of your semester and school year. So, first step is getting an agenda, using one that has a daily and monthly feature. Now, the nice thing is you go to Claremont High School and we provide them for you. So, if you did not pick up your agenda, I would urge you to make sure that you go to the office and get your agenda. It shows you both the full month layout as well as week by week. And that's important because you do need to be able to see how your week looks, but how that also looks superimposed onto the whole month. Some students decide, you know what, I want to use my own agenda, and that's fine. You can go as fancy as you want. Some students get something that's a little bit more designed and has spots for other things. It's really a matter of you using what works for you. Um, some students will argue that they don't need an agenda, they just look on Canvas. And that's fine. If you're looking on Canvas, that's a great place to start. The concern is only looking on Canvas really doesn't give you the ability to manipulate and move things. So if you don't get something done on one day, having an agenda is a physical live document that you can actually move things around. So just keep that in mind. A paper agenda will often be helpful for that reason. One of the first things that I do, because I use an agenda also, is learn how to do a brain dump. What that means is all those things that are floating around in your head, because things really aren't intended to stay in your head. You create your ideas in your head, but then you need to put them someplace. So a brain dump is just really just maybe taking out a sheet of paper on a legal pad or anything that you want to write on and just putting everything down on paper, everything that you have to do for your classes. Maybe you have a job, things that you have to do for your job, personal things that you have to do at home, your social obligations. Just get it all out on paper, because the next step is then to be able to put all those things in your agenda. You might discover that something that's floating around taking up mental space is actually something that's not going to happen until next month. But being able to put it down on paper and then realizing that now I can put that in the following month or the following week gives you a place to pick that project back up. So after you do your brain dump and you get your tasks in your agenda, it's a really important skill to know how to use backwards planning to build the right amount of time for your assignments. So in other words, if you know that you have a math test at the end of next week, you can put that test on your agenda for that date that it's going to happen, but then backwards plan. Realize that, hey, this is a test and I'm going to need to make sure I review 3 or 4 chapters. You can then decide how much time it's going to take from now until that test date in which to actually study for different units or chapters to be ready for the test. Also, please make it a habit to use your agenda daily. Okay, now that's where the habit building comes in. And you all know how to start a habit. You have all kinds of habits that you don't even think about. This is just another habit. So what you'll do is you'll use your agenda maybe in the first part of your day just to get an idea of what you're supposed to do that day, and then check it periodically throughout the day. Make sure that you're staying on track. Use it at the end of the day so that you can see what you were able to do, maybe what needs to get moved to a different day. Now, students who've talked to me personally know that I say this all the time. When you're using your agenda, you need to plan your work, but you also need to plan your play. So that's right, plan your work and plan your play. The agenda is a place for you to also keep in mind that you need a balanced life. So it's true that you might have a certain number of hours of homework that you've got to get done in a given day, but also it may be good recreation for you to go out and go for a walk or swim or ride your skateboard, or maybe your downtime is watching a little bit of Netflix. It's okay to plan for that, but the key is you have to plan for it. If you don't plan those things in your day, sometimes it can take over your day, and that's where the problems come in. So just as you're planning what assignments and what projects and what reading you're going to do, build in a little bit of time and give it a designated amount of time that this is the downtime. For 30 minutes, I'm going to take a break and watch Netflix or whatever it is that you choose to do. Using your agenda allows you to shift the items that don't get completed to the next day. So like I mentioned earlier, If there is a task, maybe you overshot what you could do in one given day, and there are a task or two that you didn't get finished on that given day, it's easy enough just to move it to the next day or move it to a day that you realize, you know what, tomorrow's really full also, but I've got to make sure that I get this done the day after tomorrow. So it's like a little puzzle that you can manipulate and move things around so that you can get all of your assignments and tasks and things done that you need to get done. Another big thing that you need to do when you're using your agenda is please be specific. So, in other words, instead of just writing down to study for math, try something more specific that gives you some real action steps. So, for example, complete 3 practice problems from each chapter. That's a lot more specific, it's a lot more deliberate. And that way, studying for the whole math test doesn't feel as overwhelming as when you can say, you know what, I'm just going to do 3 practice problems for each chapter. And if I do that for the next 3 days, I'm going to be ready for the test at the end of the week. And the last thing I would suggest is for you to make sure that you have a reliable agenda partner to help you stay accountable. What does that look like? Well, an agenda partner is somebody who knows what you're trying to do. It could be a sibling, it could be a parent, it could be anybody that you trust. Sometimes it's not always the best idea to have it be a friend who might not be that much more organized than you. But if you do have a friend or an acquaintance that you know, this person's pretty organized and I want somebody to kind of help keep me accountable, that if they say, hey, let's look at your agenda and see how we can adjust things, that you would feel comfortable letting that person see. I always suggest that it could be somebody who lives in the house with you because, again, that person's going to see you on a regular basis. And so, having somebody who knows what you're trying to do, who can keep you accountable so that when you do get off track, they can say, why don't we take a look at your agenda to make sure that you've built in enough time to do the things that you've got going on to really help you keep on track. So, again, hopefully, these are some things that you could start right away. If you don't already have your agenda, like I said earlier, please make sure that you get one. They're free in the front office if you didn't pick one up already. And this is a great way to get you off to a good start.